Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our webinar to develop with Agile-Waterfall and Agile-Waterfall Hybrid. My name is Eva Johnson, and I will be your host today. I created a small agenda for us today. The topics we are going to talk about today are the followings: a short introduction of Intland Software. Then I would like to talk about why it is important to manage hardware and software together. Then I'm going to give you a short overview, a quick overview about Waterfall and Agile. And after that, we're going to discuss the question when, why, how to use the Agile-Waterfall Hybrid. And then we're going to have a live demonstration. This is what you need to know about the webinar. The webinar will last approximately 20-25 minutes. It includes the presentation, the live demo, and the Q&A session at the end. Please feel free to type your questions in the chat box, and I'm going to answer to all your questions at the end of the webinar. The webinar is recorded and it will be sent you by email. However, it will be also available on our website, www.intland.com/webinars. If you go to this page, then you could see there our upcoming webinars. Please feel free to register. And you could also see there our webinar recordings of the past webinars. So first, a little bit about Intland Software. Intland Software was founded in 1998. We are headquartered in Stuttgart, Germany, and in Silicon Valley, California. We have partners in Korea and Taiwan. Our product is called codeBeamer ALM. It is an application lifecycle management platform with features including requirements management, software development management, QA test management, demand management, and IT operation. We have clients from many industries, from automotive, high technology, defense, finance, medical, and other industries. So before talking about the development with Agile, Waterfall, or Hybrid, I would love to explain why we think that talking about managing hardware and software together is important. So back to the 60s, manufacturers only needed to develop the product, technically the hardware components. But over the past few years, products became smarter. You can also call it more connected. And therefore, manufacturers need to care about the development of the software components too. Software should be faster and faster and more secure these days. So today, there are many companies, they need to develop the backend and the front end at the same time. So they need to use Waterfall and Agile development at the same time. This is the reason why we think this is a very important topic, and we try to give you a few tips, little insight, and a few examples in the live demonstration how you can use codeBeamer for that purpose. So this is a brief overview about Waterfall. I'm sure you all know Waterfall, and as you know, the Waterfall is widely accepted as being the first comprehensive design methodology, and the pure Waterfall model works well in a situation where there are long delivery cycles, separate testing phases, and where the original design and requirements are unlikely to change. Each phase of development proceeds in a strict order without any overlapping or iterative steps, or that was what we used to say if it was about a traditional Waterfall. As you can see on the slide, I put there two more Waterfalls. So Waterfall with Agile implementation and Waterfall with overlapping phases. Because Waterfall also evolved over time, and the Waterfall with Agile implementation enables you to apply Agile processes into your Waterfall project. So you can split traditional Waterfall development cycle into small incremental Waterfall models, the mini Vs technically, and you can alter product requirements and make some changes. If you work with a waterfall with overlapping phases, then obviously you know that this is the variation of a classic waterfall, and it suggests a fair amount of overlap between the phases of the development cycle, and is a good approach for projects that require a fair number of insights between each layer of the development as the development lifecycle progresses. Then we have Agile. And as you know, Agile software development comes from the 90s. It is a group of software development methods in which requirements and solutions evolve through collaboration between self-organizing cross-functional teams. As you might also know, Agile software development is based on an iterative and incremental development, and it focuses on keeping code simple, testing often, and delivering continuously. And the two most widely used methods, agile methods, are Scrum and Kanban. And as you could see on the chart, I listed up the most important principles of agile. So if you see the left side, then this technically agile, and the right side is waterfall. So agile prefers individual and interactions over processes and tools, customer collaboration over contract negotiation, working software over comprehensive documentation, and responding to change over following a plan. And it's always a big question why and when and how to use an agile waterfall hybrid. So we try to give you a little insight into this. So we often say that the hybrid model is kind of like the marriage of agile and waterfall. So you might think that these two methods are so different that could not possibly use together within the same project. Actually, so the hybrid method can lead to benefits that cannot be achieved by using a single method. So it's often a question why to use an agile waterfall hybrid. So the main reason is to shorten design, analysis, and planning, but still define project frames, including budget and time of delivery. It is also good for keeping compliance with standard and becoming more collaborative. There's often a question when to use an agile waterfall hybrid. So we normally answer that it's for product development. For us, it equals hardware and software development. The hardware and the product, in this case, is developed by Waterfall, and the software is by Agile. Or the second option is the end-tier application development, where the graphical user interface is developed with Agile Scrum methods, and the backend technology, which needs to be more robust and stable, is developed with Waterfall or V model. And the third big question is how to use Agile and Waterfall Hybrid. So nothing is set in stone about how to use it, but we would like to give you a few tips how we recommend using it. And this is the following. Planning, design, and requirements definition can be done with Waterfall, but development and testing short sprints with Agile Scrum. Then we also recommend implementing new type of communication channels and the proper collaborative solution to support information exchange and traceability. We also recommend involving product owners and clients into the communication, and last but not least, defining standard compliances expectations and focusing on them in the design planning phase. On the next chart, before we do the live demonstration, would love to just show you the structure of codeBeamer. There's certain parts you're going to see today, just give you a feel for it, how complex codeBeamer is. And before we move to the live demonstration, I would like to ask a few questions from you to try to understand what are you really looking for. So my first question would be, which tools are you using? It is MS Office, IBM, Jira, HP, or any other. Thank you. Now I would love to ask my second very short question. I'm wondering what tool are you searching for? So are you searching for to manage your requirements or testing or entire development cycle or an agile project or multiply agile projects such as SAFe? Thank you. And my last question is, before the live demonstration is, what software development methodology are you using? It is Agile, Scrum, Waterfall, or Hybrid. All right, thank you very much. And now I'm going to give the control rights to my colleague who is here to help you with the live demonstration.
Hello, my name is Sándor Szabó, and I would like to present you our Agile-Waterfall Hybrid project, and I would like to give you a short overview about the features of codeBeamer concerning to Waterfall and Agile and their hybrid solution. So first, a short introduction. This project that we can see now is the Agile-Waterfall Hybrid. The central element of this project are the set of trackers which represent the different items which are necessary to do the waterfall development and agile development. Let's see first the waterfall part. The waterfall trackers are the hardware requirements, the hardware architecture, the hardware tasks, and bugs also, and change requests. On the configuration items, we have hardware test cases, and we have some items in the releases for waterfall development. First, the first phase of waterfall is collecting and finalizing the requirements and their documentation. So let's see how we support the requirement management. This view that we can see now is the requirements document view. It consists of three panels vertically: the left panel with the tree, requirement tree, the center panel with the document-like view, and the right panel with the accordion control with several tabs, including several functionalities. In the left tree, you can do drag and drop to organize your requirements, and you can also create requirements here by using the right-click context menu, which also contains copy and paste, adding association, and managing the position of the requirements, deleting, and in this tree you can also export your selection into Office. In this tree, you can also see the test cases that are assigned to your requirements. This is optional. You can set it up in the tree setup page, in which you can enable or disable several options. Here there is a checkbox show test cases. If you enable this checkbox and click save, then you will see the test cases in the left tree. In the center panel, you can edit the description of a requirement. You can edit the summary. Also, by double-clicking, you can edit the description. And this editor also contains a WYSIWYG editor. You can use a Word as an editor similar to Word to edit the description of the requirement. You can include images and lists. And also format your text, and also include tables and similars into the description. Here there is also a context menu with similar items than in the tree. You can add associations here, copy or delete, and you can also add comment to your items. There is an extra control now in the center panel, this control bar just between the left tree and the center panel. Here you can drive the workflow by using transitions. The possible transitions are put in a small overlay after clicking on the icon that represents the status of the item. Here we have a voting feature. If you click on the stars, the voting user interface appears, and you can use this control to edit the description and summary, and even you can edit the description in Word if you would like. We have also a control for the comments and attachments. So you can easily save comments, and we have an extra control to create referring items. So other trackers which have a field which points to the requirements items, these trackers are listed here, and you can choose in which tracker you would like to create an entry. If you click on one link, the tracker item creation overlay will appear, and in the overlay the field which points to this requirement will be already filled with the requirement entry. On this menu you can also generate test case, and you can see the references, and you have a link to the help wiki of this section. On the right side we have the test case library, from which you can drag and drop test cases to the requirement. We have the requirements library. In the requirements library you can reuse requirements from other projects. So let's reuse this requirement in our requirement set. We will simply move the requirement into the tree in order to reuse it. Now a separate requirement is created in this tracker, and there is a link between the original requirement that was reused and the reused requirement. So if we open the properties page of the reused requirement, in the properties page in the relations tab, we will see that this requirement is a copy of the other requirement. And now if we modify the other requirement, if we modify the original requirement, in the copied requirement we will see a suspected link which marks that the original was modified, and we have to review our requirement in order to keep the consistency. If we return to the document view and reload the document view, we can also see the suspected link also in the document view. So if we click on this requirement and we click on the associations tab in the accordion, the last part of the accordion, we will see that here is a suspected link. If we click on the suspected link, an overlay appears and it will show us the diff between the original and the new one, and you can easily move the changes from the original to the new one. So now I applied everything and I click save, and then these changes are saved into the new one. So that's a new feature. Yes, and also we can drive the transitions in the details panel. If we take a look to the customization of this tracker, here in the customize page we can see the state transitions. This chart represents the workflow, or this drawing represents the workflow, and here we can see the state transitions from one state to the other. So if in the document view, the possible state transitions in the transitions menu are the transitions which are the next in this workflow. Here there is another feature which is good to know, the coverage browser. So you can always have a view about the coverage of your requirements by test cases. In this view, you can see the tree of your requirements on the left side. You can see accumulated coverage status, which is coming from the downward elements accumulated from the subtrees. And you can see a little bit more details with the coverage analysis. In this, you can see how many test cases are verifying the requirement, including the child elements, how many of them are passed, how many of them are failed, not run, or blocked. Here, for example, in USB, we can see that USB is verified by 3 test cases, and the 3 test cases, all of them were run and all of them passed. So that's what you can see here. You can filter the coverage browser by configuration, coverage, and status, also by release. The most important filters are release and configuration. By selecting the release and the configuration, you can see the answer for your question. Are these requirements tested in the selected release in a certain configuration, and what are the test results? So here you can see a detailed view about the test results. If we return to the trackers, we can see that our requirements are boiling down to hardware architecture. So from the requirements, the hardware architecture is worked out, and the requirements and the architecture define tasks in which we can see in the hardware task tracker. It's a hierarchical tracker view in which you can see the top level tasks and also the subtasks. You can see also the subtasks here. For example, we have a task design hardware architecture, and then the parts of the hardware we have, for the parts of the hardware we have separate tasks for the design of each of them. The same is for defining hardware requirements and building the hardware and testing. Yes, let's take a look to the releases of Waterfall. So the release hierarchy reflects the Waterfall steps. As you can see, first we have the defined requirements, then design the architecture, then build the hardware, and then test the hardware. So this is the order of these items. In this view, for each release item, you can see its tasks and the status of the tasks, also the assignee, so who this task was assigned to. And if we click on one release, we can see the details page, and here we can see some project member priority and other breakdown to the different items. Okay. The next thing that I would like to show you are the testing. So let's assume our hardware is built and now we would like to test it. We would like to define test cases for the requirements and for this hardware. For the test cases, we have a similar view to the requirement document view, but it is extended with a few more features. Here you can see and define the pre-action. By clicking on the pre-action, an overlay appears in which you can write your pre-action. The same is true for post-action, and you can also add test parameters for your test case. Beyond this, we can edit the test steps in the center panel. In this small control, you can add or remove test steps, and you can save your work in the center panel. If you want to have some more detailed view about the test case, then you can use the test case edit page. On the test case edit page, there are many more fields to edit, and here also there is a test step editor with attaching features. You can attach files and images, but you can also do this in the center panel of the document view. One more thing that is necessary to mention here is the test case library, in which you can reuse test cases from the different projects that you have access to by selecting the project and selecting a test case, and you can see here the test steps. So you can, by drag and drop, you can drag and drop a test step from the test case library test case to the test case that you are just editing. So that's another way of editing test cases. And let's move to the test sets tracker. In the test set tracker, you can define the set of test cases that you would like to run in one runner session. So I defined here a test set with 3 test cases. This is the USB test set. Let's assume this tests the USB part of the hardware, and it contains 3 test cases. In the test set detail page, you can initiate the test run for a test set. Let's see now the test configurations. These test configurations are configurations that are used during the testing to separate the different testing environments, and the same configuration appears in the coverage browser as a filter item. Now let's move back to the test set tracker and let's create a test run. So if we click on new test run, we can create a test run from the test set. Let's give a name to the test run. And let's choose a configuration. And let's save the test run. Okay. So now the run is saved, and it belongs to this chosen test configuration. If you click on the run link, the test runner appears, and it offers the test cases one by one to run. It enumerates the test steps, and for each test step you can define the actual result, and you can choose whether the test step is passed, failed, or blocked. You can also report bugs in the test runner, and if a test case fails, then the report bug feature is offered in an overlay to ensure that a failed test case is represented as a bug too. So that was the test runner, and now let's see the bugs tracker. So in bugs tracker, you can define the problems that you either find during testing, or also the bugs that are coming from the production. They can go to the bugs tracker, and we have also a change requests tracker for the change requests which are coming from customers. So that was the waterfall support, and now let's see the agile part of the project. In the agile part, there are requirements, user stories, and these are broken down to tasks. So the user stories, the software user stories, and software requirements are the agile trackers, and we have software tasks. If we take a look to the releases page, here we have an agile release. The software development is the agile part. So 1.0 beta is an agile release. Here you can see a burn down chart. The burn down is quite flat because this is a template project and it's not used daily. So between April and May and June, not many things happened. So that's why it's just flat. There are a constant number of issues. And here you can also see the filters for projects. You can implement here a multi-project approach so that you have a release, and in this release items from multiple projects are collected, and this way you can separate the different aspects of your developments into separate projects. The statistics page and also the cardboard completely supports it. We have a filter for members. By clicking a member, the entire left part is filtered for that member. If you click again on the member, you get back the original view. The same is true for priority, type, and status. You can filter for them also in the same way. In the header of the release, in this release statistics page, you can see a accumulated view of your issues and story points. You can see how many of them are done, how many are there all together, and it's true also for the tasks in this view, that if a task is done, then it appears in a green background at the bottom of the list, so that as you are progressing, you can see that on this list how big part is green and with green background and how big part is white, and this gives you a high-level overview about the status of your sprint and release. Yes, let's move to the planner. Another view of the same release is the planner. So now we can see this, the same issues and the same release items, but with a different view. This is called planner, and the purpose of this view is to support your planning effort. In this view, with drag and drop, you can assign the items to different sprints. You can also move the sprints in this left panel and create new sprints or change the order of the sprints. And here there is a special sprint item. It's called project backlog. If you click on it, you can see the issues, the tracker items, which are not assigned to any release yet. And by drag and dropping them, you can assign them to releases. And it's a very easy way to assign the unassigned items into different sprints. Yes. Here we also have a members section in which you can filter the items by the roles or users which they are assigned to. By clicking it again, the original list appears, and we have also a relations tab. On the relations tab, you can see your user stories and requirements in a hierarchical order, and you can define colors for the user stories and requirements. And if a task belongs to a user story or a requirement, then it inherits the color of the upper element, the higher level element. And by clicking on an item in this relations tab, the center panel is filtered for this item, so that only the issues of that item is shown in the center panel. By clicking it on again, the filtering is disabled. And in the center panel, you can edit the summary with double click. Edit the summary. You can edit the story point values, and you can edit the assignee so that you can choose someone else or extend the assignment to other persons or roles. Now it's a single field, so you can only choose one. And after saving it, the new assignee appears. On the right side, we have the details view of the items. So if you choose an item, then you can see its details, the description, the associations, and comments, and you can add comments here also. So that's the planner. We have also a cardboard view. It's a Kanban board, and you can see the items as cards, and you can move them. If you drag one card at the drag handle, the drop zones appear with the target status in which you would like to move. If the item has a workflow, then the workflow is respected by showing these drop zones. If it doesn't have a workflow, then simply all of the statuses are shown as drop zones. So by moving it into a drop zone, it changes the color and the status, and it moves to another column. Here you can filter for many things. You can filter for the dates, like you would like to see the last 30 days or yesterday items, the items that were modified yesterday. Or you can filter also by issue types like bugs, requirement text, user stories. You can also choose the releases which you would like to see in this Kanban board. And there is also a filter for the domain, which is a feature that supports the assigning bugs and change requests to customers. and you can do by this filter that you show only the items of one specific customer on this view. We have also swim lanes, so you can define swim lanes by many properties, like if you choose the assign to as a swim lane, then swim lanes are appear here, and each swim lane represent an assignment of the issue. Like there are some issues which are unassigned, then they will be one in one swim lane, and after each assignee will result in a swim lane. You can close the swim lanes, and so you can choose an assignee, and you can see the items only of that assignee. So the similar way you can define swim lanes for priority, target release, modification date, and submission date. And we have here an escalation swim lane, which you can use for escalation management, so that you can prioritize your issues based on how urgent they are. You can configure this view by clicking on the configure icon in the context menu of the cardboard view. In this configuration page, you can define minimum and maximum values, numbers of cards. If the number of cards are below the minimum value, a free capacity indicator appears at the top of the column. If there are more cards than the maximum value, then an overloaded indicator appears at the top of the column. By drag and drop, you can also define in this bottom part of the configuration page the statuses for different trackers, which are represented by the columns. So by moving one status to another column, you can change where the card in that state will appear. You can do also this in this cardboard configuration. And the last part of this live demo will be the source code management. So I would like to demonstrate the source code management on a Mercurial repository. codeBeamer supports Git, Mercurial, and Subversion repositories, and now other vendors are also in development. And we also support several source code management workflows. This workflow that we can see here is the fork workflow, so that you have a master repository, and for, let's say, for each developer there is a fork, and from the fork the developers send pull requests to the master repository. So here is our Mercurial repository. In the web representation of the repository in codeBeamer, you can see several things about the repository organized into tabs. First is the changes. Here you can see the commits that are coming into the repository. You can see the diff of the commit if you click on these numbers at the end of the files. You can see from which branch the change is coming from into the repository. For example, this commit 1 to test branch 1 was merged from test Mercurial repository fork 1 to the default branch. So you can also see these details. You can see the owner of the commit, the user who committed it. If you set it up in Mercurial, in the Mercurial settings, the username of codeBeamer as the commit owner, then the codeBeamer resolves it, and you can see here a user. If the user is unknown, then it simply show here the commit owner as a free text. Here you can also see the pusher. So the committer and the pusher can be different users. And yes, we have a files tab. in which you can see the files of your repository. Here you can choose a branch or a tag, and all the files are, of course, filtered to this tag, or the files of the tag are shown if you choose that. Here you can see the contents of the file in an overlay, and you can download the file and view the file log. So if you view the log, a commit log page is shown, and you can compare two commits, any two commits, by checking the checkbox and clicking compare selected revisions. And here the diff is shown in 3 different ways: side by side, unidiff, and word level diff. Yes. We have also the pull requests tab. This is to show the pull requests that are just incoming now. If I click on all, we can see that there was already a pull request from this repository into this repository from its fork, and it was fulfilled. We have a branches and tags tab in which you can see your branches and tags. You can choose whether branches and tags, only branches or only tags should be shown, and you can also click on show details to see more details about these items. We have a permissions tab in which you can define a sophisticated permission to this repository. First, there is the high-level permissions which belong to roles. There are admin, browse, checkout, clone, commit, push, fork, create, remote branch, update, on change sets, and update change set permissions. And you can grant it to the who created the repository or the roles. On the horizontal axis, the roles are enumerated, and you can, by checking the checkboxes, you can assign any permission to any roles. But beyond this, we have the branch permissions. If you click on branch permissions link, here on this page you can define the repository, the permissions branch by branch. Here we see that we have a test branch 1, and for this branch we can have several options. We can use the default permissions, which are the default in codeBeamer. We can also choose to use the repository permission, so this branch has the same permissions as its parent repo. We can use the permissions from the same branch in the parent repository. So if this is a fork and in the parent repository and the same branch exists, then it inherits the permissions from that repository. Or we can choose a branch to inherit the permissions from that branch. So that's a sophisticated permission system. And you can set up the notifications, who to notify if there is a commit, if there is a pull request, and there is a statistics about the commits, commit trends, and commits by day. So that's what we have for the data that we can show you about the repository. And you can see in the forks panel tab, you can see the forks. So now we can see that this repository has one fork. If we go to the fork, we can see that in this fork repository there was a commit which is already integrated into the parent repository. So the pull request was sent and it was accepted and merged into the parent repository. And in that case, this integrated tablet is shown in the commit. The first commit, the very first commit, I mean first in this list but last in time, this commit is not integrated yet, so a pull request could be sent to integrate this. And there is also a verification when you send a pull request, whether your pull request would result a merge conflict or not. And if there is a merge conflict, then you are warned just before merging, so that you can solve the problem before merging. So if now we send a pull request from the default branch to the default, then in the next page we can see that there is a warning: sending this pull request would result in one merge conflict. And we also provide an information here on this last tab about how to resolve a merge conflict with Mercurial. so that you also get help about solving this issue. So pretty much that was the live demo, and now I would like to ask you to pose your questions, if any. We will wait a few minutes, and in these minutes you can tell us your questions. So there is one question from Chuck Archer. Using Scrum and Hybrid depending on project. Could you please specify your question a little bit more? Or explain it a little bit? I'm not sure I understand. What types? The same attendee asks, what types of main status reports are available beside the burn down? We have a report section in which you can define many reports about statuses of issues and other filters and sorting and what to include and what not to include. You can also define the state history of issues. So there is a very extensive reporting feature. We have a separate reports section here in which you can define a new report, and here you can define what to report, what are the filters and everything. So this also supports the reporting of the sprints. And also, actually, if you want to find out the current status, you can use the release statistics and the Kanban board too, to find out how many issues are resolved and what are the statuses. So these are three features beyond the burn down chart. Okay, let's go one by one. So another attendee asks, does codeBeamer have capabilities to integrate with external project management tools like Microsoft Project for the tracking resource pools against program? Yes, we have a Microsoft Project integration, and you can export codeBeamer data into Microsoft Project. You can edit it and import it back, so we have a round trip also. And you can also import data from Microsoft Project. So we have a pretty extensive Microsoft Project integration. Second question, can the test runner plug into automated testing tools for result outputs? No, the test runner cannot integrate with automatic testing tools, but we have an automated testing example which already implements a Jenkins automated testing with the results being injected back into the codeBeamer. So it's a codeBeamer Jenkins integration, and it's a working example. On request, we can send it to you. Just please contact our sales, and they will send you the example about this. Practically, it uses the codeBeamer remote API to inject the automated test results into codeBeamer. Okay. Third question, is there any mobile app to view the real-time status on a project, test run, sprint, etc., like dashboard? I think that our dashboards are mobile compliant, but specifically to mobile, we didn't develop user interface yet. Okay, another question. The attendee would like to see a demo of the status reporting feature in another webinar. Yes, we can talk about it. Please contact sales and please send an email to sales, and we will prepare a demo either for you personally or your company or a webinar. It's also possible. Okay. Next question. After you drag the test cases from the center panel to the left 3 panel, will the test cases disappear from your center panel? No, I didn't drag a test case from the center panel, but I dragged the test case from the right panel, from the test case library and the test cases tracker, and it doesn't disappear from the test cases tracker. You can also drag and drop it to other requirements, because one test case can theoretically verify several requirements. So if it would disappear, it would be disturbing. Okay, next question. Can test cases be run automatically by linking and executing test scripts? Yes, I just mentioned this Jenkins integration, codeBeamer Jenkins integration. It is doing exactly this. It's linking the test code with the test cases in a test run, and it injects the result of the running of the test code into codeBeamer into the test case run item. So it's exactly what you asked. Next question, does the integration to MS Project work import export in real time? If I make a change in project, is it? No, it's a manual action. So you change your Microsoft project, and after you save it, you go to codeBeamer and you click import and it's imported. So it's not an automatic synchronization between the two systems. Okay. And it seems that there are no more questions. We wait 1 more minute, just in case. And after this, I will give back the presenter role to Eve so that she can finish the webinar. So 1 more minute for questions. Okay.
So thank you very much, and thank you, Shanda, and thank you for all to join us today. And before we close for today, I would like to call your attention to our upcoming webinar. It's going to be tomorrow. It's going to be in German, and it's about requirement engineering and QA test management. And that was all for today, and we are looking forward to seeing you next time. Goodbye.